Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This will be part 2 on the 2015 Toyota Rav4 Instrument Cluster from Wisconsin. If you have not seen the first part, just look in the description of this video. I'm going to put the link right there. Alright, so these clusters coming here because they have problems. The actual cluster is working perfectly, but there is a signal that goes through the cluster coming from the ABS module and reaching the ECM through the cluster. Don't ask me why Toyota did that, but it's just the way it is. And it's set in a fault code of P0500. And that is a very important signal because it's the signal for the speed to the ECM, to the radio, and other things in the car. Why isn't a speed signal going to the radio? Well, the way the Toyota, or why is Toyota using that, is to calculate the speed and then raise or lower the audio volume, right? So if you're going fast, they will raise it a little bit, so you will not even notice, but it will keep the same, loudness. Depends on the speed, right? So they're trying to do that to keep your hands on the steering, and that's what they do that. So the way for the ECM, well, is to calculate the speed and all the things, and start to use CAN bus, because this is a completely CAN bus instrument cluster, and they did that. So in this video, you're going to see the correct signals, because on the first video at the end, I was actually assuming that everything was fine, because talking to the technician before they send the cluster, he said that he didn't have a signal coming out on pin 6, and I'm going to show you the diagram in a second. But then, for my surprise, here I connected and I do everything, and it was a signal there. Since I don't have a known good signal, I'm like, well, then everything is good. It's still, that's why the cluster is still here. I contact them, we find a known good source signal, not for the same year. So I'm like, okay, let me take a look on the cluster, and I did find the problem. I corrected it. Now I'm going to show you the correct signals in a good working instrument cluster. Also, I'm going to show you, because you see the cluster is completely apart, how to, after you put it together, reset the needles to the correct position, not just the 0, because with the scanner, we will have a specific points like the tachometer, 1000 RPMs, the speedometer, 40 miles an hour, and the fuel level on 50%. So that will give me a gauge to make sure that the needles are set properly, and to you to make sure the needles are set properly and your cluster is going to be reading accurately. And that's very important, right? Okay, so again, just to show you, this is how I have it connected. It's just the board itself. I took everything apart, including the LCD. Let me take you over to now the let me show you the connections first, and then we can go over to the video, because I want to show you the short video that I did before, where you can see the signals, how they were, but I'm going to show you how they are now, at least on the image that I collected for my purposes. And now it's going to be all yours, because you will be able to see it too. All right, so this is, again, my own information, or I gathered all this information and I put it together, because the oscilloscope capture on the left side bottom, that is my picoscope capture. That picture on the top is me taking a picture from the board, and the rest is information that I got from Toyota, original information, and I took the time to put what main pins I need as far as powers and grounds and communication, and how that ABS speed signal goes in pin 5 and it goes out in pin 6. We can see how when it goes in, it's called SI, and when it goes out, it's called plus S. And that is the way it's described on the wire diagrams. And we can see it here, because I also added that diagram under it, so we can see how 5 is called SI and 6 is called plus S. You go over to pin 57 on the computer, and it's called speed. Very important for this signal to work properly is the computer, the ECM, and other module like the radio. So they need to provide a 5-volt reference to be pulled to ground by the instrument cluster. If the signal, if the 5-volt reference is not there, it will not be producing a signal. And we're going to see this in a second. All right, so I also gather information from Toyota, where you can read, and I explained this on the first video. I'm going to keep it on the screen, so you can, if you want to stop it and read it, I can even put it a little bigger so you can read it better. But we have also why I supposed to have, Skid control is the ABS module. That's just the way Toyota names it. Combination meter is the instrument cluster, and the ECM is engine control module. So we can see 4 pulses coming in, 4 pulses coming out. And Toyota talks about 4 pulses. The original, oh sorry, not the original, the information that I got from the technician is not showing a 4 pulses, but it doesn't really matter how much I provide in here, is the signals itself, the amplitude of the signal. So, and we're going to see this in a second, but now you see how the blue is SI and the red is plus S. Very important. Again, the blue signal is a 0 to 12 volts or battery voltage almost, and then the red signal, which is plus S, is a 0 to 5 volts, and we can see that in here. And again, we're going to be seeing this in the test in a second. I'm going to show you a short, video, so where you can see what I was getting at first, and by not having the correct information or a known good waveform, well, I am getting a waveform, and he was telling me that he did not have a waveform, and I was telling him at first that it was a 0 to 12. It's actually a 0 to 5 volts total that I have in the blue channel on this capture. I'm going to play the video just a little bit. I'm going to just lower the volume because what I'm saying is not really important. All I want you to see is the collection of the data. So the red channel, and in that case, I was using the red for the SI signal and the blue for the S for the plus S. Okay, that is what I wanted you to see. So in here, I have a signal of half a volt, from 0 to half a volt with no power connected. I also added a 5 volt reference, and you're going to see this. Let me just play it a little more. Where I am adding right now, where you're seeing I'm adding a 5 volts through a test light, to see if the signal changes. And all I see in there, and that's what I said, I see the signal changing in position because it's now writing on a 5 volt reference, but it's not going to 0. He's like, Mike, let me just look into that because I never see that signal here. I wasn't able to see that signal. And but let's see if I can gather some information. So he found some information on diagnostic network that is not really pertaining specifically for this car, but it actually made me think, what, let me go over to a little more into the board and see if it's anything damaged. And it was, and I corrected it, and now it's working properly. So again, this is just a short introduction and also an idea so you can gather or see how is this working on the vehicle. Why is that on? Oh yeah, it is. I was looking at my screen and it's like, why is that on? Well, that's what you're looking is not what I'm looking. All right, so let me go over to Pico. So let me run Pico first because you're going to see now those signals disappearing because nothing is on. All right, so I'm going to first power on the instrument cluster. You're going to see the lights in a ding. That's the instrument cluster coming on. So with just the instrument cluster on, and now both signals are reading from 0 to 20 volts, which is very important. With just the instrument cluster on, the blue signal, remember, is my signal being provided, so I should not be reading anything. And now the other channel is also in 0 because nothing is going out. All right, so I'm going to move this here at the bottom so it's not in our way too much. So the first thing I want to do is inject the signal. So we can see now a signal on the blue channel. I'm going to put another cursor on the top of that signal, and that is the high part of that signal. You know what I'm going to do? Let me put measurements, and I'm going to do this with you so you learn how to do that. So we're going to click on, you cannot see that in there unless I change something. Just give me 1 second. Well, I can describe you so I don't have to change things. In the left side of Pico, you have different buttons that you can, click on it. One of those that says measurements. All right, so now we see the measurements. That's all I did, clicking there. So I'm going to add a maximum, and I select the channel. So in 8, now that is in there. I'm going to make this window a little bigger so you can see that. We're going to add another measurement, and we're going to go to minimum into 8, right? So now we got 2 measurements. We're going to do the same thing onto the red channel. We're going to go into, I actually put 2 maximums, not sure why. Let me go into minimum, and that is going to be into maximum, minimum. Okay, so on now we're gonna do the red channel. I'm gonna do, just to keep it on the same maximum. Actually, you know, let me discard this one. And the reason I'm saying that is because otherwise I will put the B following that, and it's not going to be enough size in here. So maybe it's because if I do this medium, how that, no, you'll not be able to see that from the distance. So let me just add a frequency measurement so we can just have another measurement that we really don't need, but it will add it. What happened? Measurement frequency, and on channel A or B, doesn't matter. Right, so now I'm going to add the measurements of the channel B. We're going to go to maximum, and we're going to do another one for a minimum. Minimum. And I have to make that window a little bigger so we can see now, but now you can from the distance see the measurement. So yeah, we got everything in the correct order. So, and now you understand what I put that frequency in there, because otherwise they will not be on top of each other. So yeah, blue channel is reading 11.9 and minimum of 3. So it's 0 to 12 volts, but nothing is going on the red channel. I'm like, and everything is connected. So it should be doing a signal. Yes and no. It will do the signal only if it's a 5 volt reference supply to that signal. So right now on that red, I got nothing but the cluster connected. I am providing a 5 volt reference through a 10 kilo ohm resistor on my bench. I have a decade box. So this black wire is connected to my 5 volts in here, going through a 10 kilo ohm resistor. That's very important because otherwise you can damage the cluster, right? So now I'm going to connect this, and now let's see what we got. What is that voltage reading now? 0 to perfectly 5 volts. How is this cluster now? It's 100% fixed. So thank you, Greg, for talking to me to help me gather the correct information so I can also help you. And also now we are gathering the correct data. I got completely the correct data. So the other thing that I want to do also with you is I'm going to stop this capture, and I'm going to run one more time just to collect one screen, because I want to save this. So I want to save this, and this is a correct signal after repairs. 12 volts and 5 volt square. I just wanted to change a little bit of the name so I remember that, and now that it is saved. You don't need to say 64 frames or screens of the same signal, because we're not really looking for the signal, we're just looking for the amplitudes, and now we're good. But yeah, so this is 100%, no doubt about it, fixed. And I like to put that minimum and maximum so you can see that I don't need to put cursors. There are lines just in the way. And these now you can see even from the distance, which for me is very important because I need glasses. So I know that sometimes even in the screen, when it's a little far away from me, if I don't have that help of those big letters, I cannot see it. So hope you guys like that as well too. All right, let me turn this off. And let's get the cluster together, right? So let me turn everything off. I'm going to turn the simulator off because we need to recheck that later. So let me take the picoscope out of the equation and move the screen capture or the camera to here. So I'm going to unplug the wires. We're going to have to reconnect this because we will need to do the reset after. So I'm just going to keep that in there. Let me go and get the plastics. Yeah, I don't want to be too much in your way. All right, so I think that will be okay. So on this one, you want to set this black part first, and then that will fit. It has a guide in here and a guide in here and here. So this is the first thing you want to do. Now you want to set the white part. which is where the LCD is sitting right now. Carefully, let's bring it down in here, kind of like in the location, because that LCD is like, even as you see, it's like you can even barely touch it. It will produce numbers and everything, even with nothing connected to it. So I'm going to try to guide it to place. So give me 1 second, guys. And all this does, this LCD just fits into place in there. So you have to carefully line it into the slots that are here. So I can show you without, before doing this, two things that are important. Again, you see how like producing signals with nothing connected. So hopefully you can see this. It's like little spade or little pins. And under here, there is a plastic that you need to make sure is there, because otherwise the brightness of the LCDs, the LEDs from underneath will not let you see the screen when this is plugged in. So this is very important. All right, so we're going to set this back in place and aligned with the connector on both sides. I'm using a plastic tool just in case you're wondering what am I using. Very careful. You need to align that in there. Don't push it all the way in yet, because we want to make sure that we can set all the screws. These are Phillips head screws. And then 3 needles for the instrument cluster. I always set this one first in here, because this is the kind of like guide me in here. I don't tie them up yet. Using the help of a tweezer, I usually put the screws in here, because kind of like they have a plastic reset. It doesn't let your fingers all the way in there. And this is just to, set the screws so we can screw them in, right? And just carefully take your time, because you don't want to drop, nothing onto a board or onto the LCD. Not there, here. Okay, now that we have all the screws in place, I can start at least 4 of them, so we know that we're aligned properly. If you want to start them all, well, then that's not a bad idea either, because then you know that you're not going to force them into place just because you tied up 2 or 3 first before you do. And I always recommend to do that with everything, especially with pens and also and stuff like that, because then you will allow the same part to align itself. Right now they're all in just by hand. And with these plastic threads, I don't like to use any electric tools. I have cordless. They don't have much torque, but they can damage plastic threads. And this is a careful task to do if you want to make sure that you can, return a good working cluster to your customer or to your vehicle, right? All right, that is all done now. Now we can carefully push the LCD down. And as you see, I'm using a rag and also clean the LCD very soft. You don't want to use no force in here. And when you're pushing down in here, you want to do it onto the connector, not onto the center, because you will crack this like with nothing. It needs to be pushed a little more this side. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. That's looking good. Another way that you will find out if it's not all the way in is when you're trying to put the face. The face has a position on the center that will push. It will be pushed up if you don't do it properly. The needles, I always put a small mark onto with a white, black marker so I can I can find out where to install it back. But I always also take pictures to make sure they're in the correct position. So let me reset those up. Right. I see this one. Okay, now I see it. Perfect. You will not even see those marks from the install. There's kind of like a really tiny mark, and that's what I needed a light to see it. But yeah, so this is all you want to do. Now the cluster is all together, and then we can put the plastic cover or the bezel last, right? So this is all, it just clips in. All right, so let's plug this back in, and let's follow the picture we have, which, let me see what I put it right here. So I'm going to put you here, and I'm gonna get the A7S3 here. I need to move that one, so otherwise I'm not in your way. Or we can make this bigger. No, I still need to move it, right? So give me 1 second, guys. Let me do that off camera. I got it ready, so at least you will be able to see what I'm doing. So, all right, so we're going to connect everything back so we can do the needle test. And in this time, I'm going to connect the can high and can low and everything. So this should be very quick. So P40 is battery. $39 is ignition. 32, so 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2 is can high. Can low is next to that one, so it's pretty easy to get it. Ground and pin 21. Doing this with no light. I'm surprised I was able to connect those first ones. All right, looks like I got it. And this, we no longer need these signals in here. So it's going to put something so my cables are not completely resting on, or the instrument cluster is not completely resting on the cables. Too far. Trying to get this the best possible way to you guys. I don't really need it, but can I put in here? Yeah, it will be probably best. Yeah. All right, so we need to also make sure that this is in where it's going. Okay, perfect. All right, so let me go back now to here. And let's save this out. Yeah. All right, so let me connect the scanner, which should be pretty much ready to go as well. I'm connecting the scanner through TeamViewer. So just bear with me in a second. And get rid of all this because we don't need it no more. All right, so we got the SUS on there, which is good. Let's power this up, right? So everything is ready. Right, you saw the needles kind of like shaking and moving in there, but that's the normal procedure, and we can see 96,715 miles. All right, so let's go over to the scanner, and we're going to do not an automatic ID because it's just the instrument cluster. So we're gonna manually select the vehicle. Can make that a little bigger for you guys to see better, right? So you just give me 1 second. Can move the camera this way so I can make that window a little bigger without being completely in our way, right? So I think that looks good. Okay, so right, this is a 2015. And the cluster, I mean, the scanner is going to try to connect to the entire car, so this is going to take a little while. Rav4B, and it's a 2.5. Perfect. All right, so this is where we now go into instrument cluster. It's actually quicker this time than before. We're going to go into actuator test. Let's just start with the speedometer. If this would be in the car, it's going to give you a lot of pits in here that you can select or deselect. I don't need any pits. All I need is the speed. Because that's what we need to make sure that is set properly. All right, so we're going to click on plus, and that's going to set up 40 miles an hour. And this is where we're a little off. All right, so we're going to exit or turn this off. We're going to exit, turn the cluster off, and we need to reset the needle. It has to go down a little, and I can definitely see now that it's a little off. We're gonna move it, and then that's I think that I like to do always is not let the needle in zero. So when you turn them on, it has to follow and find the zero. All right, so let's try one more time to see if it goes to 40 miles an hour. And that is exactly in 40 miles an hour. And that is very important. So that needle is perfect now. And this is the most important, 40. It has to be, we can go 80. And I hope that you guys can see that is exactly in there. So again, 40 is perfectly in 40. All right, so now let's do the tack. And the tack is going to go to 1,000 RPMs. And I see it's actually it's perfect in 1,000 now. So let's go 2,000, 3,000. I don't think it's a little off in there. Yeah, I think it needs to go down a little bit. So let me adjust that. Again, we're going to get out of here. Turn everything off. And then manually move it just a smidge. Reset the needles, not in zero, so you can see it that they're going to move and find it zero. Very important. All right, let's do the tack one more time. So 1000. Yeah, looking at it from this side, that looks a lot better. 2000. Oh yeah, now it's exactly 3000. Yep. Okay, so now it's, you see, this is very important, because you know that you're giving a specific value that is not even, you're not supplying it, it's the scanner. So now you know that it's calibrated. All right, let's do the last one, which is going to be the fuel gauge. And I think on this one, all we can do is 50%, but or maybe 50 and 100. We'll see. All right, let's go over to 50%. Come on, up. I was a little delayed on there. I went to maximum. Let me go back to 50. I went to 0. 50. Yeah, that is actually in the correct spot. So I am looking at in here. We got exactly 50%. I'm going to click 100. That is good. All right, so this is how you set up the cluster. And now all we need to do, well, I'm going to power off. And all we need to do is, well, remove the wires, right? And then put the bezel, which you guys just better be careful. It has its guide, so it will fit in these 3 points in here. 2 clips on each side on the bottom, and then 4 clips, 2 on the side and 1 in the center. So as long as you see that they're kind of like in the correct spot, all you need to do is just press. And now we have a completely put together and calibrated speedometer. All right, guys, let me just take that out. Thank you so much, Greg, for calling me, and I'm glad that I talked to you and everything is solved, and now we got a completely fully operational instrument cluster. I will contact you shortly to collect payment and send this your way right away. All right, guys, I hope that you like the content. I'm trying to show a little more, not everything, because again, it's a lot of companies, and I'm a very small company. So if I start showing in these big companies, they don't know what I know. So if I start showing them how to do what I do, they got the money. I don't have the money. So that's what I need, all your support to help my small business, and I can survive, because otherwise they will kill me. They will remove, like what Amazon done and Target and all those big companies. And those are not just big companies, they're billionaires. They just don't care about life. They don't care about, you know, your life or my life. They care about just making money and money. We're just numbers. As long as we're making money, they're happy. I care about you. I'm a person. That's what I'm calling my customer, making sure that he's happy, that we can put our heads together, fix it up. There's big companies, they don't do that. You like it? Don't like it? Return it. Yeah, that's not going to happen with this kind of stuff. All right. Guys, thank you so much. See you next time. Bye-bye.